Good morning, Dr. Wo. Thank you so much for taking time out for me. It's a pleasure to have you here. And I've been following you for a while and read your book as well. It was, your journey is quite inspiring. So I really wanted to hear it from you and, would love to know where you started, how you got to where you are today. What was the thought behind it? What was the passion behind it? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, and I appreciate what everything you're doing, and I appreciate the opportunity to jump on. So, gosh, I mean, where to start, right? I'll start with how I became a dentist. I think that's always a good start whenever you bring anyone in who's in the dental profession. Everyone's always curious, like, why'd you become a dentist? Why'd you decide to work with dentists? And so for me, honestly, I'm not one of those dentists who always wanted to be a dentist. If you wanted to talk to somebody who was like that, you should interview my wife. Like she had always wanted to be a dentist ever since she was a little girl. And so if you want a story like that, you need to talk to her. But for me, I wasn't even interested in dentistry. Now, my older sister was a dentist. She liked being a dentist. And when I was in school, I was going to school. I remember I was getting a master's in healthcare administration. And the reason why I got it is because it made pretty good money, seemed like an easy job. And so I remember I was in Maine going to graduate school for that. And my sister was practicing in Virginia at the time. She asked me to come down and help her be an assistant, right? Her assistant was going on vacation. She needed help. So I said, okay, no problem. So on my break, I came down, but little did I know she had a ulterior motive. She had an ulterior motive. And so when I was there, I remember I was assisting her and she stopped what she was doing. Where assisting, she was doing a composite. She stopped what she was doing. She looked at me and she said, Glenn, do you want to be a loser for the rest of your life? And I was offended. It's just like, of course I don't want to be a loser. And I remember I was assisting, and she looked at me, and the patient was laying there. She looked at me too. They both were looking at me, and they wanted to know what my answer was. And I looked at her. I said, absolutely not. And she was like, well, the reason why I asked you that is because I feel like you have more potential than being an administrator. And I wanted to bring you down here to see what I was doing because dentistry is so much more than just teeth. It is the people attached to the teeth. And it was at that moment where I realized, like, I think I have a potential to do this. I like the fact that she was not only a healthcare provider, she actually was kind of like a mentor to her patients, encouraging them to be healthier, encourage them to have a healthier lifestyle. And that's actually what made me fall in love with dentistry. Not so much the teeth, it's the relationships. And so went back to school, became a dentist, and the rest is history.
Wow. I guess hats off to your sister for finding that potential in you then.
Yeah. Well, only
Okay.
only a sister can say something like so rude like that to their sibling, right?
Yeah.
Only your siblings can do
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
again, it's something that I mean, obviously I have a very close relationship with my sister and all my siblings, and it's
Yeah.
because even though sometimes we have to give some tough love, we really want the best for each other. And so
Yeah.
I always love to share that story with people because it's my way of paying homage to her. Because if it wasn't for her,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be a dentist.
Yeah. So I read your book, Dr. Wo, and I read about the story, how your parents came in, where you started and where you are. Quite an inspiration. I mean, we find that our lifetimes are very small and we feel that we are dreaming too big. But when we look at stories like yours, I think sky is the limit. You're such an inspiration for what you've done. And what inspired you to evolve a simple dental garage sale Facebook group into nifty thrifty, turning it into what it is today?
Yeah, yeah. So very similar to how I became a dentist, right? And again, I've been blessed with people who have entered my life who kind of saw more than what I felt like I was capable of. And again, that's kind of like the reason why I do what I do today, because it's all about, it's one thing to do well. It's another thing to do well and also help others to do well as well, right? And so with the Facebook community, Nifty Thrifty Dentist. That's what most people know me about. I remember I had a coach who was coaching me, and I wanted to, change the culture of my practice, right? And that's actually something that's been very close and near and dear to my heart. Culture of a practice and also uplifting other people within the practice. And so I remember my coach, she was like, okay, we're all done. What's next? And I looked at her, I was like, what do you mean, what's next? I'm gonna grow my practice and keep on growing it and and do well and move on. And she said, well, I feel like you have more potential than just being a good dentist and a practice owner. And that got me to thinking. Like, what can I do? I mean, obviously, I am impacting the lives of everyone within the four walls of my practice. Okay, the four
Yeah.
walls, right? Which is my patients and my team members, right? I'm making a positive impact there. And then, so after my mentor kind of like coach told me that, I started thinking, well, what can I do to impact, go beyond the four walls and impact more people? And so around that time, my wife came to me and she also said, so everything kind of happened at the same time. I'm the type of person where I see a good deal, I have to take advantage of it. And so I actually had a storage unit full of dental equipment. And my wife's like, what are you gonna do with that? I was like, well, I got all these good deals. She's like, you need to get rid of that. We need space and whatnot. And so I created a Facebook group called Dental Garage Sale, right? And basically, I listed the stuff that I had because I had to get rid of it. And then other people started listing. And then companies started coming in and saying, well, can we sell our stuff too? And I said, well, you can, but you got to give a deal to our group and you got to be part of the community. And then people started asking questions in the buy sell group. And then I realized I was like, well, I need to create another group. And what I was already really good at because of like my immigrant background, we immigrated here from Vietnam. Literally, my parents had to start all over, and we had to be very resourceful, right? Any
Yeah.
immigrant that comes into another country, you have to be resourceful, right? You got to stretch your dollar. So that naturally was a part of me. So when I opened my practice, a startup, I literally had to figure out ways to stretch that dollar. And because I was very good at that, people always ask me, it's like, hey, what's the best way to do this? Where can I save money? And that's how Nifty Thrifty Dentist started, right? And then Nifty Thrifty grew to beyond just getting deals and discount, became a community where we can kind of share best practices and for now, I mean, now people have shifted from asking me for the good deals. They really ask me like, hey, what's the best way to manage my team and create a
Mm.
connection? Because that's naturally what I do really good. I'm a relationships person. And so that's actually how it all started. So to answer your question, um, I've been just very fortunate and I'm very grateful that people have been in my life to say, hey, I think you could do more and you should do more. And so for me,
Yeah.
in a way, I kind of like to do the same thing. Like when I see people who are trying to do something, I like to try to mentor them and give them some advice because you never know. You
Yeah.
never know the person you give some advice for, and maybe you think it's really small, you never know how impactful it is. And I've just been really blessed with the fact that people have said like, hey, that talk you had with me has changed things. And that's all it's all about, right? You do well, but you try to leave a legacy and help others, so I
Yeah.
know that was a really long answer to a simple question, but I feel
No,
like
I
I had to
loved
like
it.
share all the details.
I loved it. In the world that we're living in today, it's so fast paced, and then there's so much competition that you really find people who are there to uplift you, honestly, and when you hear about such stories, really gives hope to so many out there who are still in that, growing phase, struggling phase, starting out. So thank you for sharing your stories. I wanted to ask you one thing that just came to my mind. So, what is the most recurring challenge that you hear from dentists within your group that the Nifty Thrifty itself has been able to solve or provide a solution for?
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, there is always a question when it comes to staffing all the time. And it might be set up in a different way. Maybe someone's talking about like, well, I don't know how much of a raise I should give my team member. or I can't find a team member, or I have a team member, or I'm interviewing someone, they want more money. Everything related is dealing with staffing. But if you look at the economy as a whole and the business world as a whole, there's staffing issues everywhere. There's a reason
Yeah,
why there's been breakthroughs in AI and breakthroughs in automation, because that's a real situation, the staffing issue,
yeah,
right? And so how we solve it and whatnot, I mean, I'm a big proponent of outsourcing and automation. I'm a big proponent of having a lean team. And it's not so much that, hey, I want to replace my team members.
hmm,
Actually, what I want to do is I encourage people to to compensate their team and treat them like the valued team members that they are. But the
yeah,
thing is that if you have a big team, you can't pay everyone a lot of money. But if you have a
yeah,
smaller team, you can really increase and make that compensation package significant. And so I truly feel that there is going to be a big shift in dentistry. You've already seen it. I always look at trends in other business. I always look at trends in other business to basically anticipate what's going to happen. If you look at retail, if you look at restaurants, they're looking at ways to automate and to have less staff, right? Because the cost of goods is going up. It's only a matter of time before that happens in dentistry. And what's going to happen
yeah.
is that you'll want to shift your money to the people who are really good and pay them really good and have them be the front-facing team members for your practice, and then you automate everything else. So again, that's my vision of I think what's going to happen in the future. But that's definitely what's going on right now. Staffing or having team members, that's the biggest problem in the industry right now.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it has always been an issue, but I think people with AI have found ways to, mitigate that to an extent. Like you can really empower your team members and make the best out of them. So I think that was a very good point. Coming, just building on that, what has been the most creative saving strategy or practice growth strategy that your group has uncovered? I mean,
Yeah.
together there's so many productive, creative conversations going on every day, and I love reading some of them. So, yeah, since you started, what has been the most, unexpected or creative thing that you saw happening in the group?
Yeah, so I'm gonna over deliver for you, okay? So I want to give a I want to give three things, right?
Okay.
And I want to start with what everyone always thinks about when they are trying to save money, and that is their ordering, like their vendors, right? So I'll start with that. And there's a very easy thing that I do that anyone can do literally tomorrow. All you need is a Google account and have access and kind of understand how to work Google Sheets. That's it. Okay. And if you don't know how to work Google Sheets, go on YouTube. You can find out, right? There's a lot of tutorials, right? So basically, what I do is I create a spreadsheet of everything I order in my practice. So let's start with supplies. I put everything I order on supplies, where I order from, and all the pricing. So I tell my team, get a spreadsheet made and put all the pricing there. Now, I always have people who come in, they say, hey, Dr. Val, I want your business. I can give you the best pricing. And I said, okay. I share that spreadsheet with them and I say, fill in your prices there, and then I'll take a look. This serves two purposes. Number one, my prices are always up to date. I always have the best deal. Number two, they're doing the work. I don't have to do the work. And so anytime that anyone asks me that they can beat the deal, I tell them, put it in the spreadsheet. And so every year, if someone wants my business, I always have updated pricing. And of course, the person I'm using, I tell them like, hey, look, here's the pricing. So if you want to make sure that you always have the best pricing, ask the people who want your business to do the work for you instead of you going around shopping around, right? Because the thing is that they want your business. So that's number one for the ordering. I'm going to give you a second one. And since you're a big marketing person, I'm going to do marketing here. Now,
Mhm.
in this age of AI and ads, and pay-per-click ads, Facebook ads, social media ads. A friend of mine's doing changing up using SEO to work with like the AI, like the chat GPTs to get the right information about your practice. In that stage of all that stuff, I want to share something that doesn't cost that much money. It's very old-fashioned. It is something that honestly I didn't come up with. All these other people didn't come up with. It's something that happened way back, even in the olden ages, right? And that is networking. Okay. So if you're a dental practice owner, what you need to do is go to other small businesses and go to them and say, hey, I'm Dr. Glenn Vo. I'm with Denton Smiles Dentistry. Um, do you have benefits for your staff? You ask them that question and just stay quiet. 9 times out of 10, they're going to say no. Why? Because a small business, it's hard for them to offer benefits. Then you say, well, in my office, we have a dental savings plan that I would like to extend to you and your team. In fact, it costs X amount. I want to extend that plan to them for free. And I'm going to take that a step further. I want you to make sure that you feel comfortable sending your staff to my office. I want to give you, the owner, free exam and cleaning so that you can see my practice. Doesn't cost you, the only thing it costs is your time. What does that do? Every small business owner that becomes your patient, guess what happens when their customers ask them, who's your dentist? My dentist, Dr. Glenn Vo, I love him. And guess
Hmm.
what? That marketing is going to go everywhere. And imagine if every small business owner is your patient. It's like
Yeah.
having a crowd full of people that are your patients. Now you understand. Now you have to think about, well, now you can go there and say, hey, can we run some promotions? They're going to say yes because you're their dentist. Now you have to remember they're a small business owner. So their money's tight too. But if you say, hey, let me be, you can't offer insurance to your team members. Let me give them a discount so that they can have a benefit. It's a perk of working with them. So that's the marketing thing. Now, I want to give you one. I told you I was going to give you three. The third one, to save money. Okay. The biggest overhead in every dental practice is staff overhead. That's the biggest thing. Now, you can't just go and nickel and dime people, okay? I'm actually going to do a webinar about this. So you're actually going to get this before everybody. So what you need to
Awesome.
do is you need to create a pay grade system. What is a pay grade system? Basically, for every certain level of skills they know, they get compensated. And each time they get another level, you pay them more. That's how they get a raise. Now, what does that do? That encourages your team to always get better, to not stay the same. So maybe your front office, they know how to answer the phone. Well, the next level is you need to know how to do insurance verification, maybe present treatment plans. What this does is that as they get more skills, they bring in more revenue. So raises need to be in line with their ability to help you make more money. So you got to create a pay grade system. So if they're always getting better, you can always compensate them more because when they get better, you can make more money. That is essential. If you don't have that, then essentially when you're giving someone a raise, you're just paying an existence tax. They are existing in your practice for one more day, they get paid more. You don't want to do that. When they get more skills, you compensate them and you encourage them get these skills to get this next level. So those are the three things right there.
That's awesome. I mean, like in marketing, like we say, there are so many marketing companies and there's so many businesses out there. Everybody's fighting for their share of the pie. It's always about giving first and then asking about it. And you really don't have to ask even after, you've delivered an exceptional service. So I think that's something to take away from, I think, for the young dentists who are still out there, who are trying to either acquire a practice, grow a practice, start a practice. I think this can be really helpful for them. So thank you so much, Dr. Vo. I've done a bit of my research and I was going through some of your podcasts, and you did a feature on Dr. Anna Cowden's mobile dental practice, right, in a tiny home. So what are some of the unconventional practice models that you've seen so far? I mean, you interact with so many practice owners and dentists out there. What is it that you've seen that you haven't seen before?
Well, that I mean the mobile dentistry, I mean, and just to let you know, she now actually has a brick and mortar dent practice now. So she's no longer doing mobile, but she started there, right? I want to say that the most unique practice I've ever seen was someone opening in a shopping mall, but they didn't build out the practice in a traditional way. They actually use portable equipment and they just put up like walls and like a because it's really hard to do the plumbing in a shopping mall, right? Most of these is like retail and whatnot. But this person, they put in like portable walls and they literally use portable equipment. Now, what was so unique about it is, well, in the mall, you have a lot of foot traffic. And so he like, really just like marketed like low prices and convenience. But basically, I mean, people were shopping and someone can get dental work done and then the other person can go shopping and whatnot. So I thought that that was the most unique. I'm not sure how they're doing now, but I thought that that was the most unique way of opening a practice in a very nifty, thrifty way because they used portable equipment. They had extra portable equipment just in case something broke down, but they made everything look nice. And the walls were like portable walls, and they put headphones on all the patients so that they can hear each other and whatnot. I thought that was probably the most unique. It was inside a shopping mall, and so I thought that was probably the most unique practice I've seen.
Yeah, I would love to know how it's doing though, I mean, can be a little risky to be out to go out of the way to be a little unconventional, but the returns can also be tremendous if it works out. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, my next question to you is about your article on entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship. So, what are the key factors you believe dentists should weigh in when choosing between the two? And is there any particular tips or any checklist that you would like to give anyone who is thinking of starting their own practice?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, and I think this is a little bit cliche because people always say, hey, you need to have your mission statement and your vision statement. I think it's extremely important to understand why you're opening a practice. I think everyone needs to go through that. But more importantly, I think every dentist needs to think about what they want with their own life. Because if you have something like a northern star that's guiding you, then every decision you make, as long as it's focused on that northern star, you're going to be happy with. And I think a lot of times dentists will get in, okay, I want to own a practice because I want to be my own boss. Okay. But they don't take in consideration what they want with their life. And, I've seen so many dentists where they're like, oh, this practice is taking over my life. I don't have time for my family. I wanted to be a family person. I wanted to do this, this, and this. And I go back to, well, what was your number one reason, like your life goal? And for me, my life goal has always been to spend time with the people that I love and care about without restriction. My
Yeah.
family, my close friends, I meet some business people. I want to be able to hang out with them. And so that's allowed me to really structure with the way I wanted to grow my practice, but also my business as well. And so as long as that everything I'm doing is focused on that and helps me lead me to that goal, that I'm doing the right thing. And I think
Yeah.
that every dentist, before they open a practice, they need to think to themselves, why am I opening the practice? Maybe they're opening the practice because their life goal is to be a big entrepreneur and open multiple practices. Okay, that's fine. But if your goal is to have a very significant family life, significant relationships, then you need to see where that all fits in. So, my
Mhm.
advice to everyone is before you open a practice, understand what your life goal is. Because maybe, to be honest, maybe you can achieve your life goal without opening a practice. Maybe you don't
Yeah.
even need to open a practice. Maybe you just want to
Mm.
work dentistry part time. So I think that's extremely important because what will happen is
Mm.
other problems will come in, burnout, all those different things. So have a clear idea of why you're opening a practice and what your main goal is.
Mm. So now where you're at, Dr. Wo, if I wanted to ask if you have to start over, would you take the same path?
Oh yeah, so I think probably not, but the only thing I probably would change is I feel like before I had kids, I probably could have grinded a little bit harder. And so I always tell younger dentists that if you really want to put a lot of work to set a foundation, definitely do it before you have kids or at least when they're really young. But when kids get older, if we all think about our childhood and we think about all our childhood memories, what do we remember? We remember elementary school and middle school, right? We remember everything from there. And so if we remember everything, your kids are going to remember everything. So you definitely don't want to neglect them. Now, once they get into high school, they have their own friends, they start remembering other things, so I think it's very crucial in that time to be very present as a parent. So my advice to everyone is like, if you're gonna really put some work in, put it in before you have kids. That's probably what I would have done. But other than that, I mean, every mistake I've made through my whole journey as a dentist and as an entrepreneur, I mean, I learned a lesson. And as painful as some of those mistakes were, I mean, they really shaped who I am today. So I think I probably wouldn't change hardly anything.
Okay. And how is it practicing with your wife? I mean, Dr. Tran, how is the
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah. Well, nowadays, it's really easy because I'm not in the practice as much. But when we were both there full time, we always told our team, if you keep us both busy, we'll never run into each other. And they knew that, right? And so it worked great because we were busy seeing patients. And then, when it was lunchtime, we're like, hey, let's go grab lunch. And so I loved working with my wife. Now, I know not everyone can work with their spouse, but I would say, if you do work with your spouse or you're thinking about it, just make sure your schedules are busy. If you're busy, you're not running into each other. You can't argue with each other, right? And so I think that's the secret working with a spouse.
Yeah, that's golden advice. So we'll wrap it, Dr. Wu. And before we do, I just want to say that I've read your books and I love the way you write them. It's like you're speaking directly to me. It's like you're narrating your stories directly to me, and they're just so much more engaging. So are there any other books in the pipeline? Is there anything else you're planning on publishing or writing right now?
Well, yeah, so the book that you got was my dental book, and I have I've written two other books, a fiction novel and also another business book. So I'm actually working on another fiction novel. I've always
Mhm.
loved to write, and a long time ago, when I told my dad that I wanted to major in English and be a writer, he was like, "You know what? No, just you can always go back to do there, get a real job." And so at the time I was kind of mad. But my parents were wise. So again, that's what I'm doing. So I'm actually working on it. I already have like all the chapters like kind of outlined out. And so that's something that I like to write. So that's a hobby of mine. So that's coming up. I don't know how long that's gonna take. But that'll be probably my next book.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out for me. It was a pleasure meeting you, talking to you, and I would love to stay in touch with you. Thank you. Really
Well, thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. Thanks for having me.